it's time for the second podium discussion of the ZPS, dedicated to building synergies between automotive OEMs and suppliers. The podium featuring industry leaders from Goodyear, Ferrari, Bosch, and Brembo. Led by moderator Michael Selig, professor at HTW Berlin, this discussion will explore strategies, challenges, and successes in fostering collaborative relationships. Discover how to unlock synergies, optimize resources, and achieve mutual success in the ever-evolving automotive landscape.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the first panel discussion for today. We have an interesting topic to discuss and a nice panel here. So on my right-hand side, there's Malagò from Ferrari, Mahmoud from Bosch Engineering Services. On my left-hand side, Rutger from Goodyear Tire Company. And on my far left-hand side, you've already seen him on the video, Michael Naylor from Myra. All right, we are starting with the self-introduction with Marco.
So hello everyone. So thanks again for the nice event and for inviting me here. It's always really a pleasure to see such an interesting presentation and finding as well meeting back some colleagues that I have the chance only to meet sometimes during this opportunity. So I'm Marco Malagò. I work at Ferrari Vehicle Dynamics Group. I'm responsible for the modeling and validation team. I work at Ferrari since 5 years. My previous experience was a tire supplier, working with the Rutger and Michael as well in Goodyear, Luxembourg. So I had the chance, like in 10 years of my working experience, even more now, to see both sides of the challenges that we have from a supplier standpoint and so now from the OEM.
Good. Hello, everybody. My name is Mahmoud and I'm from Bosch Engineering. It's a 100% subsidiary of Bosch, mainly specializing on low-volume cars, so very interesting cars usually, like supercars, hypercars, and very performance cars. And I'm happy to see a lot of familiar faces here from our customers. And yeah, I also thank you to VI Great for hosting this very nice event. My role is senior expert for simulation in the area of active safety. So everything which has to do with the brake system. And in the past, I've been working with Bosch Engineering for 12 years between function development for different functions, longitudinal functions, vehicle dynamics functions. And I decided to concentrate more on the simulation part because I see a lot of future in it. And they're right now responsible for creating the strategy and helping and working with our customers, having the brake system well depicted in their sills, hills, and dills as well.
Good. Hello, my name is Rutger from Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. So happy to be here again. See a lot of familiar faces. So I'm more than 15 years experience in the automotive industry, and my background is in vehicle dynamics. So I started my professional career at the Toyota R&D Center in Belgium, where I was working on vehicle dynamic approaches and model-based development. And in 2016, I moved to Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And I had several responsibilities, so supported product development programs, as well as worked on tire measurement and fitting procedures. And in 2019, I was part of the, let's say, initiative to develop driving simulator technology within Goodyear. And currently, I'm a principal engineer, and I'm leading, let's say, our driving simulator facility in Luxembourg. And I'm also steering, let's say, projects for virtual development approaches and processes.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Michael Naylor. I'm from Myra. So I'm the simulation team leader there. So I've worked at Myra for many years. My background as well is in vehicle dynamics. So it was a lot of time sort of doing physical tuning on prototypes. And then about 5 years ago, I moved over to the simulation side, looking after the multi-body simulation. That sort of coincided when we got the VI Grade Compact Simulator, so that sort of fitted quite well as a synergy between the physical testing and the simulation side. And then more recently, we've got our DIM 250, so what you saw in the video earlier from Mariana and Karthik. So I now look after that and manage the facility as well there.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. So quickly, some words for myself. So my background is rubber friction and tire modeling. And I have industry experience with vehicle dynamics and control systems and also steer-by-wire As you heard, I was also working for Goodyear, so I know Marco and Rutger quite well. This is an open panel discussion, so we are also inviting you, if you have any questions about this topic, you can ask, and hopefully we find somebody who can answer it. But first of all, we will start with the first question, and this goes directly to Marco, as he's representing an OEM. So, Marco, how do you see the collaboration between automotive OEMs and suppliers?
So, last year I was here presenting a bit it was one of the presentations that I was part, and I presented a bit the history of Ferrari and the simulator. It was 10 years, a kind of event that we installed the simulator, and I have to say that one of my latest remarks was about the importance of speaking the same language between the OEM, in this case Ferrari, and the supplier. So today, what is our main role as Ferrari? Of course, we have a clear task and goal and challenge that is to deliver a special product to our customer, and to do so, we need to get on board our suppliers. And getting on board our suppliers today, what I keep saying to them is not only coming at the right time with the right product, but to embark on the same journey of sharing the same understanding and same kind of methodologies and communication protocols or methodologies to get there not only with the physical product, but with a model that can allow us to develop our product ahead of time, much before having the real prototype that you can see on the pictures sometimes on the web. So for us, it's crucial to get our suppliers aligned with our needs in terms of timing and in terms of requirements of what we want to have. The challenging things that we are facing, but I think I'm getting more and more optimistic, and even looking at some presentation these days, I think everyone is really start going the same direction, is that we as our role as OEMs, so we need to try to get all the different suppliers that are supporting us on our vehicle development, understanding, what eventually another supplier needs, so we can play as a bit as a moderator in this kind of phase of virtual vehicle development, and allowing every supplier to have the correct subsystem that eventually is inside a full obfuscated model that they cannot see from the side, but at least they can rely on having every single part of the different subcomponents that they are, let's say, part of our big vehicle model as reliable as possible. So today, really, our role is to try to get everyone there. Maybe there is not still the chance to have like a dedicated connection between them, mainly because I think there are still some bureaucratic things of NDA and so on that, from my experience, they are not allowing yet a direct connection between them. But as OEM, we can play as this moderator role, allowing every supplier to have the best vehicle model containing then the best subsystem components, and allowing them to keep developing their single part, in an autonomous way.
Thank you, Marco. So, what are the thoughts of Bosch Engineering on this approach? So, Mahmoud.
Well, the collaboration between automotive OEMs and suppliers is basically the present. We can see it today in a lot of the projects, but also I see it as the future, to intensify it even more than today, because the market trends with zero prototype or less prototypes, and also all other trends in the markets are forcing us to be quicker, come to our development without lots of trials on the street, and be efficient. So I believe it was mentioned today that the development cycles of the cars is getting shorter and shorter. And for us, it is important to be ready. Like Marco mentioned, we need to be ready to integrate our submodels into the simulation environments, be able to speak all the languages that the OEMs are speaking, and be ready on the technical side to integrate our models into their environments, and also support them in the simulation activities. But also, as a tier 1 supplier, it is important that we are using it internally for our own development, for our own release and development processes, in order to be faster on the market. A very interesting point is also the inter-supplier communication, because at the end of the day, we cannot really simulate the brake system alone. We need, for example, a tire. So it would be also very interesting if we kind of break the bureaucracy in getting the models working together and be faster and more, maybe a little bit standardized in the exchange of the models.
Thank you, Mahmoud. So you already brought the tire on the playground. So Rutger, you can just take over.
Yes, well, I can echo what both Marco and Mahmoud already said, but let's say the collaboration aspect, I think, is getting more and more important. And we see it also at this event, the Road to Zero Prototypes. There's a lot of presentations that show as well partnership. So I think, yeah, as a tire supplier, let's say it is important that we can work with accurate and let's say detailed models, so both vehicle models but also subcomponent models, to be able to develop our products really with the latest and best specification. So going forward, and if we want to do more virtual prototyping, I think, let's say, this collaboration aspect, yeah, will become more important, and it's important, let's say, that we can build these partnerships both with the OEM but also with subcomponent suppliers.
Thank you, Rutger. So Marco also mentioned the point that the OEM is acting like a moderator or facilitator of these initiatives. So Michael, how do you see your role as you're coming from an engineering consulting company and test facility?
Yep. Yeah, so for us, collaborations, it's always been key. I think we don't have a product, so if we don't collaborate with OEMs and suppliers, there's not too much for us to do, really. So that's always been our role. Obviously, it's around simulation, but in the past, we've always done it for many years, of just bringing different companies together. But yeah, it's certainly very important for us. And I think the key for us is, because we're working with lots of different OEMs and different suppliers, we're seeing the different approaches that are being used. But I think it still comes back to having, like I say, having that common language, so that when we work between those different areas, we're getting the most from it. And I think being able to do it quickly, the whole point of going to the sort of zero prototype approach and getting into simulations, the fact we can share those simulation models so quickly, we need it to be able to work. We then don't want to, yes, we've shared the model quickly, but actually if we can't run it and spend a lot of time doing that, you've lost a lot of the benefits. So I think for us, that's always the key area of getting that communication between the different areas.
Isn't it great? So we have such a diverse panel here, yeah? So OEM, tire manufacturer, control system supplier, consultancy company, and all are speaking the same language. So there's a big process in this domain. So that's really a great initiative. Bringing me to the second question, to the podium. So what are the biggest benefits for you about these kind of collaborations? Well, they are obvious, but let's, name them. So who wants to start?
Eventually, I can start. I think it's quite, I always like to make this kind of example of the benefits of the collaboration, like the one that we're having. Like, think about like having a meeting with other supplier and you don't speak the same language. So it's not going to work, you know. So we are from different nationalities, and at the end we came out speaking like the same language, like literally the English language. Why? Because it's definitely a somehow easy language, and it allows to communicate in a simple, effective way to get immediately the right kind of point at the right time. And that's exactly the same, I think, mindset that we are start building together. So when really literally speaking, like speaking the same language is the same, exactly the same thing. Trying to get the same level of understanding of what are our goals, our final target, and only with such a kind of open discussion and collaboration we can reach our target. Definitely the target is, you know better than us, you presented even yesterday and so on. The need of squeezing the development time now is crucial, you know. We are developing more, I think everyone, Ferrari in premise, you can see we increased the number of launch of vehicle, and without you know, all this kind of pre-work that we need to do, it will be impossible there to get there at the right time. So that's absolutely the benefit that I see, and we are already living today with the first fruit of what we are doing. So there is still some way to go, but I think even looking at how it changed the content of the presentation that year after year I see you're presenting here, the collaboration that I've seen, like Multimatic and Michelin, all the other engineering company together with their suppliers, I think it's something that is happening. I have really the feeling that you realize that only thanks to this kind of mutual collaboration, you can improve your way you're working, and you can definitely provide a better support to the EM.
So, Mahmoud, yeah?
Yeah, well, basically, it goes into the same direction. For me, it's just that the complexity of our vehicles is continuously increasing, and development time is continuously decreasing. So we can't just be working like we have been working yesterday. We need to find new methods, try to find shortcuts in our development process in order to be faster. And of course, one of the best ways to increase the speed of our development is just lose all the logistics time loss that we have in using prototypes, transforming prototypes, building the prototypes, and at least in the very first iterations focus on the simulation. So just a file sent via email, and then you have the newest update. And that's basically how we should be working, or actually partially working today, and we can increase it for the future in order to speed up our development process. And at the end of the day, it is more time for our colleagues in the calibration for doing performance stuff, maybe on the vehicle. Let me say the last 5% of the performance can still be done on the vehicle, but everything else can be done in the simulation and accurately in the simulation. And that, if we really reach this equation, we have had a very big step ahead in our process.
Oh, perfect. So, Rutger, you like to?
Yeah, I can add to that. So yeah, it was already mentioned, but of course I think everyone is talking about shortening of development time, so that is definitely a clear benefit. As well for a supplier like a tire manufacturer, I think understanding of the whole system, so really to be able to develop our products really to the full car and control system early on, I think it's really a benefit of the virtual approach. Of course, as Michael said, we work with many different customers, so it's still a complex, let's say, complex domain. So we have to work with many different environments, but also there with VI Grade and the certified program. So to be able to be flexible and let's say adopt different modelings and different models, really allows, let's say, to work in the virtual way on many different projects. And I think that is really the benefits that is helping the development going forward. And what we clearly see at these events is that everyone is heading in that direction. So.
No, perfect. Michael?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's bringing everyone together, but it's also sharing the skills that we have. There's no point having a team of people at an OEM and a supplier and a consultancy all doing the same role. I think actually it's about being able to share that knowledge and get the most of it. So that, actually the whole thing working together is greater than the sort of sum of the parts together. And I think that's how we can tap into that knowledge. So again, it's all about getting this efficiency. There's no point wasting time doing a job that someone else can already do quickly. But I think also, as well as like sharing facilities as well. So on the video, we've got our simulator, and actually sometimes that can perhaps be a barrier to someone wanting to get into using simulators. It's actually that upfront cost, but actually we've got the simulator, we've got the tools, people can come and use it, and then we've got that experience of using it regularly. So again, it's getting those new tools out into the market so that people can take advantage from them. I think also we're getting a lot of the new startups and new suppliers as the vehicles get more and more complex. There's new companies coming into the market that perhaps weren't part of the ecosystem in the past. And I think, again, trying to collaborate with those. Obviously, I think some of the more traditional OEMs and suppliers has perhaps been that the trust that's been built up over many years. But then by starting to collaborate with them, especially for ourselves, we can almost be a sort of neutral ground where we can bring together the models from the OEM and the models from the supplier, and actually the two companies don't necessarily need to have access to them. So again, we're still getting those benefits in developing the products without necessarily having to share all the information.
No, perfect. So thank you. But what would be really interesting for us is how did you start these kind of collaborations in your company? Basically, yeah, we know there are some business needs. We have to reduce the number of prototypes. Development cycles are reduced. So, but there was still some points to overcome that you're more open now to share models and work together, especially for the suppliers becoming more to a partner. So how was this kind of initiative then started in your environment? Like, if you would like to comment, Rutger, as speaking for Goodyear.
Yes, yeah, of course, it starts with first building up the capability. Let's say many years we are focusing on building our tire modeling capability and simulation capability. But then also what Michael said, it's about trust, let's say, so trust in the process, trust in the methodology, and then I think the best is, let's say, still hands-on experience. So it's about communication and also talking to the customers and showing, let's say, how it works, how it can work, how it can benefit not only the tire manufacturer but also the OEM, let's say, to work on this kind of activities. And I think by that, the trust is growing, and that also enables basically the collaboration and let's say the way to share, how to share models and to work on the same area. So I think, yeah.
I think, Mahmoud, it would be quite nice if you can see say to the perspective of Bosch, so how you approach this domain.
Well, yeah, sure. Well, basically, when there is a need, there is a will. Sometimes it helps, like you mentioned, to have the right collaboration mindset between the partners, OEM, supplier, or supplier. It's very important to have the right strategical targets and mindset. But also, sometimes it helps that we have some situation, like project situations, where the technical stuff or the project planning stuff are preventing an alternative to simulation. And that brings the people also together, finding a way with simulation, and then they learn how good simulation can be. And that's always an eye-opening situation, and also for people who are really very connected to the vehicle and would like to drive all the time. Sometimes you just need one situation where they have seen that with simulation they have reached the same results, and afterwards they are connected to simulation and would like to use it even more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Marco wants to join in.
Absolutely agree, because Ferrari experience is pretty aligned with what you're saying. Our first customer from a vehicle dynamics standpoint sometimes are our driver, and seeing them as the first one pushing to come at the simulator to develop contents, or even to prepare some specific activities, like it can be the preparation of a performance lab or so on. It means that our internal clients are the first one that are really requesting us to move really quickly to this kind of approach, and they are our first really customer in the sense that they keep feeding us with the request and new requirements to try to get always kind of closer to the reality. This is our first motivation, to try to then push and to keep collaborating with the supplier to say, look, we got some feedbacks, we are good, but we still want to further improve some specific items and feelings, because for us, feelings of our clients and driver is our main goal, to try to really understand what are their needs. And that is the first trigger, that it keeps us pushing to try to get there. And I mean, you see today, for example, with such a kind of weather, we are in Italy, in May, you should expect to have a nice sunshine outside. That doesn't look to be the case, and with such a short development time that we have, we can't today afford to waste almost one full week of activity just because we can't go outside. That's absolutely, today, that's not the way we want to work anymore. And with this kind of keeping this kind of loop of sometimes going on the vehicle, coming back to the simulator, in days like today, I mean, our driver, there is the queue outside. They know that they need to come there and to keep working, because it's even a way to be more efficient in days like today that absolutely you can't do anything on a normal road.
Okay. Having Michael's perspective on this one as well, to have it as an engineering consultancy company, so...
Yeah, so as I said, our main business case is around doing collaborations. So obviously we've got quite a legacy of doing that. Sometimes some of the things we can't always talk about it because of confidentiality, but we're building on that with customers that we've worked with for many years on those collaborations. But also as we're expanding our tools and facilities that we have, we're bringing in more and more new customers. that we're working with. And yeah, it's just I think generally conferences like this where we can get out and about and talk to people and actually show them what we're doing, I think is really powerful, seeing what other companies are doing and how to approach it. We can start to apply from it. And yes, I think just bringing people together as we start to work on it, obviously as the vehicles are getting more and more complex, it can't just be a collaboration with just an OEM. You need to be bringing in the suppliers, we need to be bringing in all the extra control systems and working with that. But yeah, certainly it's tapping into that expertise, and I think making sure you can understand who's got the skills where and making sure you're making the most of that as you apply them.
It's a good timing because we have one question here from the auditorium. So is there a mic? Yeah.
Mic is coming.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, my name is Max. I'm from Volvo Cars. We heard now some great examples of model sharing between the OEM and the supplier. But what's your take on enabling third-party sharing? For example, like us as an OEM, we might have a steering system of Bosch that Bosch provides us with the models for the steering system, which is an integral part of the car. And I'm about to share that with Goodyear to do tire assessment, or even worse, with one of your straight competitors that might be, our brake supplier. How do you think that we can best enable this way of providing models to one another?
Yeah. I think that's perfectly for Mahmoud because steering was mentioned and it's a crucial part of the car, yes. So,
well, basically it all comes down to the strategical thinking between the three companies and having a common agreement about what kind of models can be shared, in which scope, so black box, white box, or maybe with a little bit of encryption here and there. Basically, usually it's analyzed on a project level to understand what is the need for it, how can we provide it, in the format that is suitable for sharing. At the end of the day, I would say with the example you mentioned, they are not competitors because at the end of the day, us as Bosch Engineering, we are not seeking to build a car sometime in the future. Probably a tire manufacturer, with some exceptions, are not building a brake system. So maybe just having a larger need, going into a single table and having the right discussion to make sure everybody is fine with this agreement is a solution. But sometimes it doesn't have, nobody has the time for doing it, and that's why it doesn't work all the time.
So somebody else from the panel who wants to answer the questions, or Mahmoud?
But I think absolutely the dream of everyone would be like to give like a virtual kind of twin vehicle, that exactly is like if you are giving the real vehicle to the different suppliers. There are some OEM that does this. They get like some prototype and they give to the different supplier the real vehicle. The dream is to exactly do the same, with the digital twin. For sure, I think thanks to this kind of collaboration that we are building more and more, I think in the near future it will be possible to have even thanks to new technology of obfuscating models like FMUs or making S function of models. So we know the challenge of making S function of S function. There are some still criticalities around that. That doesn't mean that we can start collaborating because there are some approaches that are even like in the middle of trying to make some models that are for the specific topic that you are looking at, longitudinal dynamics, later like that. You can have as close as possible an equivalent model that is pretty similar. The dream is exactly to avoid to make like equivalent model, but to keep providing the exact same wide open model that we are using in-house. I think there is still some way to go because we know that in particular now that we are bringing a really high-level model from suppliers, at least speaking about my experience, we are still not in the phase of providing like a full obfuscating model containing all these with this high accurate model inside. But I think in 3 years' time, if we come back here, the new ZPS, hoping on the better weather, I think we will have some use case that we can show up that it will work. So I'm quite confident that we will be able to unlock these impasse that today it can still be there.
Your thoughts, Rutger, from the tire manufacturer?
Well, I think, yeah, from the tire side, I think tire models are already widely shared, so even tire parameter files can be open, and they are probably also shared. I think if to interchange between suppliers, I think it should not be a blocking point. Even we can think about, let's say, having an NDA in place that can protect, let's say, the intellectual property. As Marco and Mahmoud said, we can encrypt models, let's say, either in FMU or in compiled other formats. So I think, yeah, we need to start thinking really how it is, and it is also, again, about the trust. I think that, yeah, we have no interest in those technology behind, but we, as a supplier, would like to use, of course, the latest configuration of control models as well as vehicle configuration.
So last but not least, Michael, your expertise working with different customers, so maybe you can also add something.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this can be something where a company like ourselves, an engineers service provider, we can sort of sit in the middle and perhaps facilitate these things. We can have the vehicle model, the different controllers, and actually it doesn't necessarily mean that different aspects or different suppliers need to see that model. It depends obviously a little bit on what you're doing. Something like the simulator where it can all come together in one area works very well. Obviously, if you need to take it away and work offline, it can be a bit more difficult, and it is something we want to work with more. But yeah, I think as the rest of the panel have said, looking at the FMUs or licensing, encrypting the models, and then being able to try and share it that way. But yeah, certainly hopefully we can keep improving it.
The question was already related to my next question you asked, so thank you very much. It was perfect timing as well. So basically, what kind of issues did you face in the beginning when this approach started? So one was obviously model sharing. How do we do it on the technical side? What else did you experience in the first time? So we are now evolving. So, but yeah. So who wants to answer first? Marco.
I'll keep asking first. Definitely the challenges, everyone somehow knows about, for sure, confidentiality is the main question that we are facing today. The other thing is I think methodological approach. As OEMs, for us that we collaborate with different suppliers, it's really important that there are some basics that are shared and understood by everyone. In particular, as I said before, the importance of providing reliable model together with, in advance of the physical components. And is up, at least our position is up to the supplier that knows exactly and in detail the component itself to make a first accurate validation of their system. What it can be frustrating from an OEM standpoint is that there is a perception from suppliers sometimes to say, yeah, okay, you're asking me this, okay, green flag, I'll give you the model, and then they don't spend enough time to properly check if the model that they are providing to us it's accurate or not. So I think this kind of a change of approach of feeling like even the responsibility of providing models doesn't matter which kind of models and which kind of formats they want to do, because now with even the support of VGrade, we can easily find a way to plug in and make the model works. Of course, it will be nice to limit the number of model types to certain reasonable numbers, but we know that there are some specific suppliers that have their own know-how and they would like to keep their specific model approach, and that's absolutely fine for us as far as they bring a model that are, there is evidence that the model they're bringing, they are at the level of the components that or they already develop and the one that they will develop in the future. So I think my challenge, and I see this kind of mutual kind of approach of feeling like the responsibility of providing high-level accuracy model to the OEMs, because in this kind of chain of collaboration, if someone is lacking a bit of accuracy or lacking the responsibility of providing their added value modeling approach, then all the system, the chain that is coming afterwards is affected. So that's a bit my position on that.
Mahmoud, I think you can join in.
Yeah, I actually agree to what Marco said. It's exactly this part, but also there is another factor that is equally important, which is the timeline. Sometimes we start a project or a collaboration for the products themselves, and we agree that simulation must be part of this collaboration. But the timeline of the simulation is kind of shifted or a little bit slower than what is happening in the real prototypes, and that leads to the result that maybe the use of the simulation at the end of the day is not really that beneficial as we would have done if we have started a couple of months, maybe a year earlier. And that is a point that I always like to stress, that we start with the simulation and plan the simulation activities as early as possible, because that's where we really gain the most in the early stages. And there's a lot of positive examples that we can talk about for sure. But that would be my recommendation, and actually my lessons learned out of the previous years.
Rutger.
Yes, so yeah, I think it's the challenges, but I still remember that we were here 2019 in Udine at the DIM 150, so trying for the first time, let's say, bringing tire models and vehicle models together. And even we have, I think, a lot of people in the audience that were there at that activity. If we now look 5 years further, let's say the increase in what we made in capability and modeling, also simulator technology, VI grade keeps on enhancing, gives us more capability. And I think we see a clear increase in what we can do. I think the road to zero prototypes is let's say, real. Yep. We are not there yet, but I think also with the right partners, so finding the right partners that can help you in bridging that gap, that is one of the challenges that really evolved over the past years.
Okay. Just answering Michael. You want to jump in, Diego? No, so Michael, please add your...
Okay.
Okay, so Diego likes what Rutger was just saying. Yeah. So Michael, would you like to add something to...
Yeah, I think although we work with lots of different suppliers and OEMs, which is good, but obviously that can add complexity, and I think sometimes there can just be assumptions about in advance about people think how the model's going to work or what we're going to do for it. So I think it's always key for us is actually putting a bit of effort in up front to make sure everybody's on the same page, we know what we're going to be doing and working together. Just because I think as the vehicles, the models get more complex and just lots of different options for tire models, and you don't want to turn up before we're ready to go on the simulator, and actually it turns out we've not got the license that we thought we'd have or the setup that we need. So I think certainly putting that a small amount of effort in at the start to get everything in place can save a lot of time down the line with it. But I think another bit, obviously, having the models accurate and things I think is good, but I think sometimes the risk sometimes can be that perhaps people think the model needs to be perfect before we can do anything. And actually, the approach we're trying to do is just making sure that the model is at the right level for what you want to use it for, because I don't want that to be a bottleneck of someone spending a lot of time trying to develop their model or maybe get the powertrain working absolutely spot on, when actually we're more just interested at the chassis level. Yeah. Obviously, it's key, I think, to make sure everyone knows that level of maturity of the model and you don't think this is the perfect one. But I think just making sure that everyone is clear about where it's going and not sort of letting the aim for perfection slow the process down.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Looking at the time, I have a final question, so please be quick with your answer. But I think it's a very important one to address. So what would you advise to companies and people who are actually not into this approach yet? So what would be your suggestion? So Marco, start, please.
No, definitely they have to understand that the zero prototype goal is definitely a challenge. It will be tough to get really to zero prototype. But the approach of reducing the design space with this approach is absolutely crucial. You will, thanks to this approach, ahead of time, you will be able to focus on a specific spot of the design space, and then you will continue straight ahead on that instead of jumping from one part to another, and you will get lost.
Mahmoud?
Yeah, maybe without doing commercial for other companies, just do it. It's a state of the art. Everybody needs it in the development. Just choose the right partners, the right people to help you with it, and just do it.
Rutger.
Yeah, not much to add. So I think the expertise is there. I repeat what I said before. So with the right partners and the capabilities is increasing. So we can show it, approach us, and we can help as well with the expertise. So,
Michael?
Yep, very quickly, but yes, I think come and talk to us and we'll help you do it. Just a simple answer to that, so aim.
No, perfect. So, yeah, just remember where we are standing 5 years ago, and basically, when I speak of all of us, we are looking forward where we are standing in 5 years' time from now on. So,
Sorry,
Diego wants to.
sorry, I grabbed one mic because otherwise.
sorry, I didn't see that you're.
No, it's fantastic discussion. I'd like to ask you a question for each of you. Observing this road to zero prototype, that can be infinitely long. Suppose this way is an asymptote, okay? If you observe the past 3 years, how much did we progress to the end? So, 20%, 30%. That's a tough question, but people go home with this number. Each of you.
I think 50%, frankly speaking.
We have a lot of projects, but around about the 20-30%, there is a lot of potential to be achieved.
Over the past 3 years, I think the increase has been immense. I can say proudly that we did 1.0 prototype successfully. So we developed one tire fully virtually, and it was accepted by one of our customers. So I think that's a great use case, and I hope there will be more. So yes, it's not for all projects, of course. We have many development projects, but it is possible.
So number is 100%.
On one case, yes.
One case, okay.
Yeah, we've moved along a long way with our capability. I think the simulator is a real big step change for us. Bring it down. Done a lot of work with the GT project. I think Martin quoted in the video. He'd brought it down from 10 years to 1 year, I think, or something. There's a big claim there, but yeah, I think we've definitely on certain projects, making big improvements.
Number is?
I'll go 51, slightly better.
51%. So we have 50, 25, because we have between 20 and 30, 100% and 30. And
51.
51. 50. Somebody makes the math, so we have average progress to the road to the zero prototype, and let's see what happens next year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I didn't want to close. Michael, you have to close.
Oh, Diego, thank you very much. But, I think not much to add. So thank you very much for this really nice discussion. And I think if you have much more questions, people are here open to discuss. So yeah, and we are looking forward actually to see the progress, and maybe we can increase the numbers to next year. Yeah. So write it down, and then we will see.
Thank
All
you.
right. So enjoy your break and have a good afternoon. Thank you.